Okay. Mark, you can hear me?
I can hear you well.
Okay.
I'm hearing it. Do not let you.
He's standing next to Dr. Greta. She is.
Do not let your loved ones become strangers to you. Getting older does not mean your memory will start to decline. There are many ways to improve your memory, even as you age. During this talk, you will learn about the best ways to prevent dementia and Alzheimer's disease. And Dr. Kaplan will teach you about the most researched natural protocols that will keep your mind strong and improve your memory.
Okay. Glad to see everybody. This is very exciting to be back on stage, talking about your brain and your health and your wellness. My name is Dr. Eric Kaplan. I'm a board certified functional neurologist. I have offices in Manhattan. I have office in New Jersey. We do Zoom sessions all over the world. We come up with ways to improve brain function in a natural, holistic way without any drugs, medications, surgeries. So we're going to go over a lot of ways to improve your brain function today. If you have any questions, you could write it in the chat and I'd be happy to help you out. And then there'll also be people live here. You guys can ask questions if you need, and we'll go over a lot of stuff. So first thing, I just want to give a little bit of background to myself. When I was 13 years old, I was a very sick child. I had bronchitis. I was overweight. I also had bad acne. I had bad focus, poor memory. I was low energy. I was really sick, and we went to the pediatrician, and my mom was told by the pediatrician that I needed to be put on medication. And the medication that I was put on was steroids and antibiotics, and those medications made me worse, actually. So I used to throw up from the medication. And because the medication made me so sick, I thought that there must be another way to improve your health, improve your well-being. So I started going to seminars. And one of the first seminars I went, similar to like this New Life Expo, was a seminar called Natural Hygiene. And what we learned at the Natural Hygiene seminar was that dairy is a big congestion of the lungs. And immediately I got off dairy products. So once I got off the dairy products, my bronchitis went away within a month. And I used to have chronic bronchitis. My mom was actually smoking cigarettes in the house. She was smoking cigarettes in the car. Back when I was growing up, like there were, people smoked everywhere, in the plane and restaurants. And so it was like always exposed to the smoke, which caused a lot of congestion in the lungs. But I couldn't stop my mom from smoking. So when I learned at the seminar about the dairy products, I thought that is something that I could do. So because I cured myself, you guys can come on in, because I cured myself of the bronchitis by getting rid of the dairy products, I thought, oh, I can actually get rid of my medication. And because I was able to get rid of the medication, I thought at 13, oh, you know what? I should help people improve their health, improve their well-being, and let the body heal on its own. So we always want to give the body the potential to heal on its own. So if we don't put all the bad crap in our body, then our bodies can detox. But, I had a patient yesterday with acid reflux, and I told her that, she shouldn't eat dairy products and gluten products and corn and soy and alcohol and coffee. And she's like shaking her head. She's like, no, I don't have any of that. I said, you don't have any of that? And then she said, well, I have coffee. And I said, well, that's one of the things you have. And I said, how often do you have coffee? She's like, I just have 1 cup a day. Because if you have 1 cup a day, that could have a major influence on your acid reflux. So today she's going to start to not have any coffee. She can do it for 6 weeks straight. And therefore, she's going to cure her acid reflux. She's not going to need to take antacid. She's going to be able to sleep better. She's going to feel better. She's going to be able to eat better. So it's really limiting her life. And if you do the right things, then your body can heal on its own. So at 13, after I started going very holistic and eating healthy, and I got off my medication, is the same time where my grandma Dottie moved to Florida. So my family's from Brooklyn. When I was born, they moved to New Jersey to get, the house and the white picket fence and all that stuff. But then after we moved to New Jersey, my grandma moved to Florida. And in New York, my grandma was always very busy. She was playing cards with her friends. She was going dancing. She would, play tennis. She was always cooking in the kitchen. She was always entertaining, throwing parties. So, I hate chopped liver, but my grandma's chopped liver was the best chopped liver. It was like, she made everything so good. She was always so beautiful. She always had her makeup. She always looked so fancy. But then once she moved to Florida, I would visit her maybe once or twice a year. I saw her brain deteriorate and just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And what I realized is when she was in Florida, she had no friends, and she stopped playing cards, and she stopped playing tennis, and she stopped entertaining, and she stopped being social, and she stopped caring about how she looked, and she stopped going out, and everything in her brain just kept getting worse because all she would do is, sit at home, watch TV, no activities. And what I realized is that it wasn't her age that was making her brain get worse. It was the lack of activities that she was doing. So our brains need to be challenged all the time, and we need to do things that we've never done before. I had a patient that said, oh, well, I do the crossword puzzles every day. Well, if you really want to improve your brain and your memory, you don't want to just do crossword puzzles every day. You might want to do a crossword puzzle on Monday, and then the word jumble on Tuesday, and then a maze on Wednesday, and then Sudoku on Thursday, and then play a card game on Friday, and a board game on Saturday, and play chess on Sunday. So it's every day you got to do a different activity, and you got to challenge yourself in new ways. So that's very important to improve memory, to improve focus, is to keep doing new activities and challenging yourself in ways that you've never done before. Yes, you could, like learn a new language, learn how to play an instrument, learn a new dance move, but it doesn't even have to get that complicated. You could just start by, brushing your teeth with your left hand. And that's going to stimulate, your brain in a different way, or brush your hair with your opposite hand, or walk down the hallway with one shoe. So it's like just doing something different and challenging your brain, challenging your balance, challenging your memory. We don't use our memory anymore because everything's in our phone. So, when I was growing up, we had to memorize everybody's phone numbers. And now you don't have to memorize anybody's phone numbers. But what you got to do is challenge yourself and say, I don't care that I can use my cell phone. I'm going to purposely try and remember somebody's phone number. I'm going to purposely, when we used to say, oh, what was that actor's name? It's like you really think for 5 to 10 minutes of what that actor's name. Now you just Google it and you get the answer right away. So that's actually not beneficial to our brain. So everyone loves the technology, but the technology makes your brain worse. And as the generations get older and older now, we're going to have more Alzheimer's, more dementia, but you got to put in the work. So I'm not the doctor that's going to give you the dementia pill and give you the Alzheimer's pill and say, here, just take this. That does not exist. If there was a pill that somebody could take to cure Alzheimer's, then nobody would have Alzheimer's. There is no pill. There's no pill that solves anything. You have to take these pills for the rest of your life. So that's not a cure. They're just trying to cover up symptoms. What we want to do is use a process called neuroplasticity and rewire the brain so that your brain gets stronger. Just like you can go to the gym and strengthen a weak muscle, you could go and strengthen your weak brain. And you can improve your memory, you can improve your focus, you can reduce anxiety and depression, you can improve your sleep and your energy, but you got to work for it. All right. So there's no magic, pill or formula that's going to do it. You got to work for it. So the way to do it is to heal your body from within. I have a book called Boost Your Brain Power, a guide to improving your memory and focus. And it lists the 17 most important things you could do to improve your memory. So we're going to go over a bunch of those right now. One of the most important things is oxygen. So to get your oxygen, there's lots of ways to do it. You know, if you're in New York City, there's obviously not a lot of trees and there's not a lot of grass. And so what you got to do is buy some plants for your home. The best oxygen producing plants are spider plants, snake plants, aloe vera plants, the money plants. Those produce a lot of oxygen. So you want to bring them together. Plants are like humans. They need friends. So if you have a plant by itself, it could actually die off. Just like, you know, isolation is bad. So that's going to make our brains deteriorate. So we see a lot of these people right now with Alzheimer's and dementia, and especially with the coronavirus, they're isolated and they don't get visitors, and their brains die off 10 times quicker in isolation than if they had some support and some family people to visit. So I think that's very important, that the isolation is not good for the brain. The neurons will die off in isolation. Your plants will die off in isolation. So group your plants together, become more social. You know, I know a lot of people are scared to go out, but you got to be smart, and you got to make sure that, you know, you build your immune system and stay strong. And there's lots of ways to make your immune system strong, whether it's, you know, exercising every day and eating a healthy diet and getting the proper sleep and drinking the right amount of water and avoiding chemical stresses, avoiding emotional stresses. So there's lots of stuff that you could do, you know, just even breathing and meditation and practicing mindfulness. So, and there's a difference between knowing what to do and actually performing. So, you know, one of the things I do, you know, is make sure that I hold my patients accountable. And so a lot of patients see me because they know they're not going to do it on their own, so that I'm sort of like their brain coach, and I analyze their brain, find out their weaknesses, and give them exercise to stimulate those weak areas and make sure that they're doing it as well. Okay. Now, with the oxygen, we not only want to have the plants in our apartment or in a house, but we also want to make sure that we can breathe properly. So the best way to breathe to maximize your oxygen intake is to inhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 7 seconds, and exhale for 8 seconds. You always want to exhale at least twice as long as you inhale, because you're going to get rid of the carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide creates an acidic environment, which is bad for the brain function. So you want to maximize your oxygen, and the way to maximize your oxygen is actually get rid of the carbon dioxide. So a lot of people, when they're breathing, they focus on the inhale. But what's more important is actually to focus on the exhale. So you want to exhale twice as long. So you inhale for 4, hold it for 7, and exhale for 8. That's been proven through neuroscience to have the best effect on your brain and your nervous system. And it's also going to maximize your oxygen intake for your lungs. And when you have more oxygen, you have less disease. Viruses, bacteria, they hate oxygen. They can't breathe with too much oxygen and they die off. In our office in New Jersey, I have a hyperbaric oxygen chamber. And the hyperbaric oxygen chamber will literally be a disinfectant. So when people go in there, it kills viruses and bacteria. They're actually starting to use it more mainstream, even in hospitals, to help treat coronavirus now. A lot of people are using hyperbaric chambers. So they're really amazing at healing. It used to be for the bends when people would go deep sea diving, it would mess up their inner ears. So they found these oxygen chambers fixed that. But then they realized people with skin problems and herpes would be getting better, and people with Lyme disease were getting better, and bacteria. So it's really helping all these amazing things. Yes.
What will it help the fungus underneath the nails?
Yeah. So the fungus, the question was, will the hyperbaric oxygen chamber help with fungus under the nail? So definitely fungus is much harder to breathe and live if it's, you know, combined with oxygen. So that definitely helps out with it. But fungus also, we want to make sure we get to the internal root. So a lot of it can be fixed with diet, as far as getting rid of carbohydrates and sugars and potatoes and rice and oatmeal and grains and dairy products and lemonades and juices. And so these cause a lot of fungus and yeast type of growth. So you definitely want to get rid of those foods that are going to aggravate it. And then another thing that we see with a lot of people with mold and fungus is that they have decreased stomach acid,
what's called hypochlorohedria. So if you have decreased stomach acid, then the mold and the fungus and these, mycobacteria, they have to come out somehow. And a lot of times they'll come out through the skin or through the nails and places like that. It's a way of detoxing. So if your normal detoxification process isn't working, the most important is your bowel movements, right? So if your bowels eliminated properly, you're fine. But if you have a leaky gut, then some of the yeast and candida is going to enter the bloodstream, and it's going to attack certain organs such as your brain and such as your skin and your nails and even your heart. So you have to be very careful with your immune system and your gut to get it in order if you want your brain to function best and you want to detox properly. But the body's amazing at detoxing. It has your bladder, it gets rid of the urine, and your intestines, you get rid of the fecal matter, and your lungs get rid of the carbon dioxide, and your skin, sweats out the toxins. And when women have their period, you bleed out the toxins, and you have boogers, you snot out the toxins, and you have earwax, like all these amazing things to get rid of your toxins. Even your tears, they get rid of the toxins. You don't want to hold your emotions in. That's going to cause more stress. That's going to cause more dysfunction. It's going to cause more brain problems, cancer, heart disease. The number one time for heart attacks is Monday morning at 9 a.m. So
9:30. The stock market opens at 9:30. I think it's at 10 in the morning.
right. So it's the Monday morning. It's when everyone's going back to work. The stress is one of the most important silent killers that nobody talks about. So what we have to do is bring stress and not make it like it's a bad thing, right? Oh, this person's crazy, or people have mental issues that we need to address, just like we would address with diabetes or cancer or heart disease. But for some reason, if it's a mental issue, people are embarrassed to talk about it because, it's sort of like not accepted in our community, oh, it's just in your head and stuff like that. So what we try and do is not be judgmental to our patients. And we always want to, get to the root cause of the problem rather than treating symptoms. If you have depression, I'm not the one to give you the antidepressant. If you have anxiety, I'm not going to give you the anti-anxiety pill. If you have sleep problems, I'm not going to give you a melatonin. If you have, we're not going to, even if it's natural and holistic, you're still treating symptoms. So if we want to improve memory, you're not going to take, everyone's taking Prevagen and, these pills that say, oh, this is going to improve your memory. So, if Prevagen really worked, then we would have no Alzheimer's disease. Everyone would just take it and everyone would be fixed. But the truth is you got to work for it, right? And the work is the oxygen. That's the number one most important thing. So we said oxygen is important. You're doing 4-7-8. You're getting your spider plants, your snake plants. You got to work on your posture. So most people are rolled in like this. You're not going to breathe better. So you got to work on bringing your shoulders back. When you inhale, you got to push your diaphragm down and out like you're a pregnant woman, like your belly's going down and out. And then when you exhale, everything comes in, right? So when we exhale, we want to push all that carbon dioxide out. So if we tuck in our tummy, that's going to push more carbon dioxide out. So it's not only the seconds that you're breathing, but also how you're breathing and your posture when you're breathing and what's in the room when you're breathing. So these are all super important for your oxygen, right? Now, the second most important thing is fuel delivery from food, right? So food is very important. Most people eat way too much and your brain can't heal. So just like you have good bacteria in your gut that kills off bad bacteria, and you have good cholesterol that helps with the bad cholesterol, we also have good brain cells that kill off the bad brain cells. But if we're eating too much, then you can't kill off the bad brain cells. The way to kill off the bad brain cells is with a process called autophagy. So what autophagy means is that you actually eat your own brain cells, and that's what you want to do. But to get to autophagy, you have to starve. And what you do is called intermittent fasting, where you only eat from 9 to 5. So that when you're fasting from 5 p.m. to 9 a.m., that's when you can create autophagy. If you want to improve your brain function, you want to improve your memory and your focus, and you want to heal disease, intermittent fasting was the easiest, simple things you could do. But most people eat at night, which is the worst thing. Because why do we eat? No, what's the purpose of eating?
To fuel your body.
To feel, not your body, right, to give you energy, exactly. So the reason we eat is to give us energy. So why are we going to eat at night when we want to relax? So you want to eat during the day when you need your energy, right? So breakfast and lunch are the most important meals. Dinner is not as important because we don't need to eat at night to increase our energy. We want to be in a relaxed state. It's going to interrupt your sleep, and that is going to make your brain worse. So you actually lose years of your life if you're not sleeping properly. And we're literally in Manhattan right now. It's called the city that never sleeps, right? It's the worst nickname in the world, right? So we need to relax our brain. Bye. So we need to relax our brain, and we need to stop eating at night. And we also need to turn off the electronics at night, right? Because if it's 8 o'clock at night and the lights are bright and your computer's on and your cell phone's on and your iPad's on, your brain is wired and it's up. We want to relax it. And if it's up, it's going to be, cortisol is going to be high. And if the more cortisol you have at night, the worse your brain's going to function. So we got to decrease cortisol at night. So it's not just increasing melatonin by taking a pill. That's not going to do it. You actually got to decrease cortisol. That's the main thing you got to do. Cortisol is very high in the morning. We like that. And then it should, throughout the day, go lower and lower. So you want to eat like a king for breakfast, a prince for lunch, and a pauper for dinner. So you want to, each meal should be less and less as the day goes on, as you become more relaxed, and the cortisol should go down. You want to exercise in the morning when cortisol and testosterone are highest. That's when you want to exercise, when you want to have sex in the morning. You want to be morning people. Most people are nighttime people. Morning is where you should do everything. It's where you get motivated. It's where you exercise, you eat, you know, that's where you create that good day, is in the morning. It's all about the morning. If your morning is bad, the rest of your day is going to stink. You know, the morning, you also want to end your shower with cold water. Cold water is very good for your parasympathetic nervous system. And that keeps you focused in a relaxed state rather than going through your day all stressed. Guess what's going to stress you out in the morning? A cup of coffee. It's going to increase your heart rate. It's going to make your mind race a little bit more. That's what most people do, right? They skip the most important meal, which is breakfast. They don't exercise, which is necessary. They probably are rushing, you know, to get to work on time. So there's in stress mode already, right? So you start off your morning in a rush, no breakfast, stimulant with a coffee. That's the worst way to start. And that's the majority of New Yorkers. And then they might even skip lunch, work hard all day, and then come home and have this huge dinner and stuff their face, and then sit on the couch and want Netflix for 2 hours. It's the recipe for Alzheimer's. If you want Alzheimer's, you just literally do what everyone else does. If you want to prevent that and you want to improve your brain function, you got to work a little bit harder. So you start going outside at 6 p.m. You go for a walk, take the dog for a walk, take your, husband for a walk, talk to somebody, actually read a book, learn something, listen to some music, take a little dance class, do something fun. You don't want to just eat and watch TV at night. So that's a horrible way to live your life. You got to experience life, and then you'll prevent future health problems. All right. So if you want to be different than everyone else, you got to do different things than everybody else. If you want to end up like a typical American, cancer, heart disease, obesity, being in a nursing home, wheelchair, diaper, you want to be like a typical American, you're going to do what typical Americans do. You want to be healthy, and you want to be like my patient Josephine, who's 99 years old, and she works and she takes care of people, and she goes to the hospital to help 60-year-olds who just had a heart attack, and she volunteers at the community center. On her 99th birthday, she brought us cupcakes. It's like, no, Josephine, we're supposed to make the cupcakes for you. And she's going around giving everyone else presents on her birthday. And everybody loves her, and she's an inspiration. She comes to my office once a week, does these brain exercises, just stays very healthy. I mean, that's what you got to do. You just got to work at it, and you can do it right. But if you don't work, people say, oh, I hate getting old. They hate getting old because they don't take care of their body properly. I don't care if you're 100 years old. You don't have to have any arthritis. You don't have to have any memory problems. You don't have to have any aches or pains. You don't need a cane or a walker, but you got to work at it. Most people aren't, willing to put in the work. So what's the work? We said the oxygen's the work. We said the food's the work, not eating at night, but also the type of food. To get all your nutrients, you got to make sure you eat each color of the rainbow. Just something that's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. As long as you eat each color of the rainbow, you're going to get your nutrients to your brain. Every single nutrient. As long as you eat each color, you'll never need a multivitamin. You're not going to get cravings. You're not going to desire sugar and candy, because if you eat each color of the rainbow and you're getting all your nutrients, you have no desire for any other food. And I know this personally because I never used to eat each color and I was starving all the time. And then once I eat each color rainbow, I don't get hungry anymore because I'm getting all my nutrients. You can eat a whole bag of Doritos because there's no nutritional value in it. You could just keep stuffing your face. You can, eat a whole bag of chips, and, people can eat, they go to a restaurant, they eat a whole loaf of bread. Like, it's no problem because there's no nutritional value in it. But once you start eating healthy food, you're not going to desire the junk food anymore. And you don't need supplements. Everyone, especially here, like most people are over supplemented. We don't need all these supplements. If you're taking care of your health, you're not going to need to take all the supplements. I take vitamin D because vitamin D, everybody's deficient in New York. If we were living, what's that?
Florida.
Right. If we're living in Florida or Mexico or the Caribbean and we were outside all day, our vitamin D is probably pretty good. But even when we're outside right now, right, you got a coat, your sleeves are covered, you wear a hat, so you don't get the vitamin D, even if you're physically outside.
Sunlight.
That's where you get vitamin D, is from the sunlight. But even if we're outside and we have long sleeves on, you're not getting the sunlight. So you actually have to roll up your sleeves, pull up your pant legs, take off your glasses, take off your hat, let the sun actually hit your face, hit your skin. So we got to do that in the middle of the day between 12 and 2 where the sun is strongest. That's to get the most vitamin D. Now, to also help with your sleep and your rest, you want to walk outside during sunrise in the morning and sunset at night. That gets your circadian rhythms in order. That will get your cortisol levels high, and then it'll shrink it throughout the day. But if we're inside all day with the lights, the brain has no idea, what time of day it is. If you guys ever go traveling and you go like to California, there's a 3-hour difference. Your best way to get your brain readjusted is to stay outside for a couple hours. And then the brain says, okay, now I'm used to California time. Then you never get any jet lag or anything like that. So to ever, if anyone has issues with traveling, just go outside and then the brain sees the sun. I don't care if it's nighttime, daytime, whatever time you get in, the brain will figure it out there. But you got to communicate and say, hey, look, this is where the sun is, so it can understand if it's time for rest or it's time for activity there. All right. So we said oxygen, food, we're eating each color of the rainbows. The food to avoid, the most inflammatory foods, we said dairy products are the worst. No human should have any dairy products. Dairy products are made for cows only. Human breast milk is made for babies. That's it. After we're babies, we don't need milk anymore. We don't need goat milk. We are not goats. We don't need almond milk. We don't need sheep milk. We don't need milk. Don't be in a milk mindset. You want to be in a water mindset. What should we be drinking? We should be drinking water. Yeah, just water. No, we don't need any milk. You're not a baby. Well, oatmeal, especially the American oatmeal, is horrible. So it's full of a lot of pesticides, and they crossbreed the seeds. A lot of it's genetically modified. When I go to, what's that? Yeah, Quaker Oats is horrible. Yeah.
That's why I eat growing up.
Are you talking about Roundup? Yeah, the glyphosate. Yeah. Now, organic's always better. But if you have some sort of condition like an autoimmune condition, I definitely get my patients off oats. If we're working on your brain function and we want to improve your chances of prevention of Alzheimer's, we want to get off oats. So oats can lead to increase in your glucose levels and your hemoglobin A1C levels. So what happens is they're going to be changing the name of Alzheimer's disease to diabetes type 3. because of a combination of diabetes type 1 and diabetes type 2. So what we're trying to do is get all our patients off the foods that could cause diabetes type 1 and can cause diabetes type 2. So diabetes type 1, which is an autoimmune disease, those are milk, gluten, corn, coffee, alcohol, and soy. So those are the big autoimmune foods. So that's for diabetes type 1. Diabetes type 2, which is the adult onset. So that's more nutrition, diet, and exercise. So these are more the grains, you know, the breads, the pastas, the oats, the rices, the potatoes. So that's going to increase your hemoglobin A1C. If your hemoglobin A1C is above 5.7, then you're more likely to develop dementia and Alzheimer's. If your fasting glucose is above 100, same thing. The hemoglobin A1C is over 3 months. The fasting glucose is basically just current. So whenever you do blood work, you want to make sure you're fasting to get a proper glucose test.
That's why I have my notes here. Ask how to cure Alzheimer's disease, because my grandma had it and she died from it.
Yes, so the cure is the prevention.
She drank Sancta coffee. It's decaffeinated in the morning to make it healthy.
Right.
And she drank a glass of fruit juice. And she had 1 or 2 pieces of toast, white bread toast. She
Right.
died.
Yeah.
Coconut. Get your water. I drink coconut water.
Yeah, so I mean, it's always best just to have water. If you want to put, you know, some minerals in it, you could have some coconut, or you could squeeze some lemon, or you could put some pink Himalayan salt in there. You don't want to overdo any salt, so there's a proper ratio depending on how much water you drink. So, you know, if you have distilled water, yeah, you can definitely mineralize it, because if distilled could be too acidic of the water there. So you want to have a good pH, because most waters are too acidic and they're not alkaline. And alkaline is what we want to prevent dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Say that again? I'm not familiar with that.
So, or did you alkalize your water?
Only what?
Or did you alkalize your water?
Did you say you only alkalinize your water? Oh, how do I do it?
Yeah.
So I have a filter, and then I have a big pink Himalayan rock, and then I pour the water over the rock, and it just takes some of the crystals off the side. So the pink Himalayan rock has 86 minerals in it. Gatorade has 1 potassium. So the rock has 86 minerals, and there's no sugar, you know, there's no food dyes, there's no chemicals, there's no carrageenan, there's no all these added preservatives. You just put it like over a strainer. So the rock's in a strainer, and then I pour the water over a pitcher. Yeah, but it's filtered. We have a filter that connects under the sink and in the shower too. It could be, but there's a proper way to measure it, but I don't even do that. I just pour it over the rocks. But yeah, definitely a pinch would do it the same way. But this way you don't even have to, you literally just pour it over and then keep the pitcher there. Yeah. All right, any other questions about that? So now the amount of water is also important. So we want to drink half our body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 120 pounds, you got to drink 60 ounces of water a day. And coffee doesn't count as water. That is actually a diuretic. That's dehydrating to you, dehydrates you. Alcohol dehydrates you. So if you have coffee or alcohol, you got to drink even more water. If you're exercising and you sweat a lot, you got to add more. If you have your period, you got to drink more. If you have diarrhea, you got to drink more. So that's just a normal regular day, right? It's half your body weight in ounces. What happens to a grape when it's dehydrated? Right, it becomes a raisin, it shrivels up. That's exactly what happens to your brain. When your brain is dehydrated, it shrivels up. My Alzheimer's patients, I literally know the days they're not drinking water. It's so obvious. I know. I said, you didn't drink water today. And the daughter's like, yeah, they didn't drink. No, the coffee's a diuretic. So coffee dehydrates you. I mean, there's water in everything, but it's not hydrating you.
What about watermelon?
Watermelon's good, but that's food. So it doesn't count. Like 90% of watermelon is water, but it doesn't count as water. So you got to eat your watermelon for your red, and you got to drink your water too. Half your body weight in ounces. The best time to drink the water It's first thing in the morning. You don't want to drink water with food. That's bad. You want to drink it on an empty stomach. So you drink your water first thing in the morning. You drink it a half hour before each meal. It helps with actually weight loss too. It helps lubricate your intestinal pathway. It helps the brain respond better, helps with the digestive process, helps prevent constipation. So you want to drink 2 cups right in the morning, a half hour before each meal, and also one at night too, especially when it's becoming winter now, and especially New York has these radiator heats. The air is going to be very dry. And so I recommend getting a humidifier, but you have to change the humidifier you got to clean it every night because they get really dirty. So you get a humidifier and that'll add more moisture in the air so your mouth doesn't get dry and your skin doesn't get dry. And then you won't like wake up in the middle of the night and then have to drink more water and pee, and then your sleep's interrupted. So we don't want to go down, that road there. So the more you drink during the day, the better. So I do a ton in the morning, just to really get the majority of my water done. I weigh 152 pounds. So, I got to get my, 76 ounces there to really get my daily requirement. Yes.
I weigh 102 pounds.
That's
I was
51
up to about
ounces.
108, but I weighed myself yesterday.
So if you weigh 102 pounds, that's 51 ounces. Just half your body weight.
51.
Half your body, and that's water. And you can, put some lemon in it if you want to give it some flavor and stuff like that. If you don't just like 51 ounces. Ovaltine? Oh, herbal tea. No, that's food.
That's 6 times 8 is 48.
All right.
No, so I went down to 88 pounds. So I was in the hospital.
Right.
I weighed 86 pounds because I refused to eat the hospital food. I dropped to 86 pounds. I couldn't even walk.
Yeah.
I was in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
When I was like 30 years old, 40
Yeah.
years old.
Yeah.
So I ate again. And they wouldn't let me out of the hospital. So I weighed
Wow.
110. I was in the hospital 3 weeks.
Right.
They billed me $36,000 and there was nothing wrong with
Yeah,
it.
the hospitals, they're big ripoffs there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you want to drink just plain water because if there's food in it, then you release these digestive enzymes, and if you have to break it down, it's a little bit different process. So it's always good to have just plain water on an empty stomach with no food in it. But you can have teas fine, but when you make your tea, make it, like if you want to make ginger tea, you literally buy ginger, put it in the pot, boil the water, and then take that, or slice an apple, put some cinnamon sticks. You get apple cinnamon tea, or get some mint leaves and get mint tea. So like you don't want to buy all these teas in boxes and bags and you want to really just make it everything on your own. You want to buy it completely fresh. That's the healthiest way, is to get everything fresh and it's not processed in boxes and bags and cans. Yes.
In Virginia, they have what's called sun tea. You take a mason jar, you put the fresh water in it,
Yeah.
and you cut the peppermint.
Exactly.
Out
Yep.
of the garden.
Yep.
And you let it sit
Yep.
in the sun, and they put a cover
Exactly.
on it, and you let it sit in the sun for about like 3 or 5 hours, and then
Yep.
you drink it.
That's the
And
best way to
fine.
do it.
There's no caffeine. in
Right,
it.
exactly. You just make it naturally, holistically. That's always the best way. If you really want to make almond milk, you don't buy almond milk at the store. You literally but get some sliced almonds. You could soak it overnight and then pour out the water and then put it in a blender, mix it with some water, and you have almond milk. That's it. Just almonds and water. That's all you need. You buy this crap in the supermarket, it's full with all these preservatives and fillers and contaminants and impurities and, carrageenan and sugar replacements and all this chemical flavors and, not healthy stuff there. All right. So we said oxygen's important, food's important. And then the third most important thing to improve your brain function, memory, and focus is activation. So we got to challenge the brain. We got to activate it. All right. We got to challenge it. So what are ways we can challenge the brain? Any ideas? Well, this is breathing, right? So that's a way to challenge the brain, but try and breathe. Like we said, you got to challenge your exhale. You want to last as long as you can, meaning you want to inhale for, let's say, 8 seconds, hold it for 14 seconds, and exhale for 18 seconds. So that's a very good brain challenge. Challenge yourself. What other challenge? Yeah, crossword is a challenge. Sudoku is a challenge. But we want to do those things differently every day. Like we said, Monday, you do the crossword, but on Tuesday you do the word jumble, and Wednesday you do the Sudoku. So every day you want to change the type of challenge as well. What other ways can we challenge our brain? We can come to places like this and go to lectures, right? You can learn new things from, brilliant professors, and you could read new books, and you could learn a new language or learn a new dance move, or you could, go travel to a new place that you've never been to, try and, take a new route to work, and trying not to use the GPS, and start adding instead of putting it in the calculator, and look at a map instead of, relying on your cell phone, and trying to memorize people's phone numbers instead of just looking up in the address book. And you got to purposely come up with ways to challenge yourself. So one challenge, a lot of people, we were doing this today before in the other room. You guys can challenge it here. What you do is you take your left leg and you draw clockwise circles. And at the same time with your left hand, draw the number 6. So you guys can try it here. Try it. It's hard. So it's a brain challenge. Now you reversed it. So a lot of people think they get it, but they do it the opposite way. So you do clockwise circle with the left leg and then the number 6 with the left hand. That's a brain exercise. So just like you go to the gym and strengthen a weak muscle, you could strengthen a weak area of your brain. If you have troubles with memory, you have troubles with focus or concentration, you could actually strengthen your brain, but you got to exercise it. You're not going to strengthen your muscle without going to the gym and exercising. You're not going to strengthen your brain without exercising it. So you got to challenge. Here, try this one. This is called a trail making exercise. Slap, chop, fist. You do it over and over. Slap, chop, fist, as quick as you can, over and over and over again. Chop, slap, chop, fist. And then when you get it good at that, yes. For example, what?
I'm from Brazil.
Yeah.
And I decided to stay here 3-4 months.
Right.
Just to study.
Yeah, that's great. Exactly. So she's from Brazil. She said she's coming here for 3 to 4 months. She's getting immersed. She's going to learn English. So that's the best way to challenge yourself. You go to visit a new place, a new country, and you learn their culture and their language. And yes, it's a very good brain exercise. If we just stay in our apartment every day, we go to work, we eat, we sleep, go back to the apartment, eat, work, sleep, same blah, 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 your brain's just going to die off. You got to meet new people. You got to do new things. You got to travel to new places. You got to try new activities, try a new instrument, try to sing a song, do stuff you're not comfortable with. Make yourself uncomfortable. If you want to make your brain stronger, you challenge your brain. You end your shower in the cold. You go outside in a short and t-shirt while you're chitter. Right now, every life is too easy. If it's hot, we turn on the air conditioner. If it's cold, we turn on the heat. If we're hungry, we eat. If we're thirsty, we drink. If we miss somebody, we call them. It's too easy. You got to make yourself suffer a little bit if you want to make your brain stronger. So you got to purposely suffer. Don't purposely make your life easy. I always challenge myself no matter what. I'm always a person, I'm going to park in the last spot, so I have to walk the furthest. I'm not going to take the elevator. I'm going to take the steps. I'm going to always make it harder. I'm going to try and memorize someone's phone number and not put it in the address and not just press the button with their name on it. And yes, I'll call wrong people sometimes, and they think I'm nuts. I'm like, oh, sorry, but that's okay. I'm going to go to the grocery store and memorize my grocery list. Hey, once in a while, yeah, I miss something, and my wife says, you didn't get the pineapple. I'm like, oh, it's okay, but I challenge myself, and I mess up, and then I got to go back and I make it harder. If it's too easy, your brain's going to die off. It's going to deteriorate. We got to challenge ourselves. You got to fail. Failure is one of the best things for your brain. So people are too scared to fail, so they never try anything. And if it's too easy, your brain becomes weaker. Your immune system, you got to challenge, right? Everyone's using all this antibacterial crap. Your immune system doesn't get challenged. If you always take antibiotics, antibiotic soap, antibacterial lotions, you're never exposed to any bacteria, then your immune system becomes weak. I let my kids play in the dirt because they get exposed to bacteria and they are very healthy. the people who don't get exposed to bacteria, their immune systems become weak. So you always want to challenge yourself. And I'm not saying, purposely go to someone's house who's sick and has a fever and get them to sneeze on you. That would not be responsible. And if you guys are sick, you got to be responsible too and stay at home. So, I mean, that's, the really whole issue with this pandemic is stay home if you're sick and, lose some weight so you're not obese, and make sure you don't have diabetes. Make sure you wash your hands. Make sure you don't have heart disease. Make sure your vitamin D levels are good. It's not too complicated, but nobody follows any of those recommendations because we're listening to the government and the news as opposed to doctors. Yeah.
I've been washing my hands like 10 or 20 times a day, like if I touch light switch or something. And doesn't that make the fungus worse?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah. So, and wash your hands with soap and water. And like with my kids, make sure before we eat, they obviously wash their hands because you don't want to, bring all the dirt and then put it in your mouth. And if you shake somebody's hand, obviously try not to touch your mouth. You got to be smart. Everything's just about being smart. You want to prevent Alzheimer's, dementia, you do these activities that I'm telling you. You want to build your immune system, you follow these direct. Yeah.
Successfully found dementia and Alzheimer's.
Yeah, basic. That's good. Even some essential oils you could put like if you have to wear the mask, put like.
Also in sunflower lecithin.
Yep, that's also good as well. Now, another thing that causes Alzheimer's that is a lot of research is aluminum. Right? So you got the aluminum pots. A lot of people cook with aluminum pots or have aluminum foil that they cook with. Even if you touch aluminum foil, it gets absorbed skin. So it's not even like you eat it, just touching it. And obviously when it's covered, if you bake your potato in aluminum foil, it gets soaked in there as well. If you put it in the toaster oven, put your grilled chicken on there, it's going to get absorbed. The aluminum cans that a lot of the food are stored in, the aluminum in the antiperspirants that some of the ladies wear. There's aluminum in even like the flu nasal spray. There's aluminum in the sky that they spray. There's aluminum everywhere. And yeah, autism in young kids, Alzheimer's, but you can stainless steel cooking ware. So that's very easy to do. It's more expensive and it's harder to wash. Right? You could glass storage containers instead of the aluminum or the plastic. You're going to get glass water bottles or stainless steel water bottles. So we really want to avoid aluminum. Make sure your antiperspirant doesn't have aluminum in it. I just use baking soda. That's good. It's a very cheap and very healthy. But we got to avoid. What is it? What odor?
When you buy water in a bottle, the plastic bottle.
Oh, water in a bottle. Yes, exactly right. So you don't want water in a bottle. You want it in either glass or stainless steel.
How about filtrated?
Right, but you still want to put that filtrated water in glass or stainless steel. You don't want to put it in a plastic water bottle. And you definitely don't want to buy the plastic water bottles. They've been sitting in the supermarket for Lord knows how long, how are stored. Those chemicals are all leaking into the water. So you definitely want to avoid those. And you'll save the environment, you'll save money. So you just, in the initial cost of getting like a water filter at home, yes, it's more expensive, but probably within a year to 2 years, you're not buying water bottles. You save so much money. Plus, you're saving the environment. Plus, you're saving your health. So it's a no-brainer.
Bottles, plastic bottles.
If it's plastic, there's chemicals in them. So, if it's
not plastic.
Well, you said plastic. So,
Plant-based, made from plants.
Okay, if it's plant-based, that's fine. If it's just like hemp and that's the only ingredient, that's great. But plastics, yes, we want to stay away from. So the other thing that's important, besides the heavy metals, which is also mercury, we get that in fish, dental fillings, even some medicine as well. We also have arsenic can be found in even brown rice and some apple juice, and lead can be found in the pipes. So we got to avoid all those heavy metals. We got to avoid all the chemicals, the sprays. You want to buy organic food. You don't want to get conventional. If you have to eat, if you want to save money though, you can buy ones with the big peels like bananas and avocado where you don't eat the peels. They're not going to have as much chemicals as like a strawberry or a blueberry or a grape where you eat the whole thing there. All right. So I do have to finish up. Are there any more questions before I give a little summary of everything? All right. So the main thing is oxygen, food, and activation. Those are the big three. So those are the three things you got to take home with you today. Then the things to avoid are the inflammatory foods like the dairy, the milk, the gluten, the soy, the corn, the coffee, the alcohol, even the makeups, the cleaning stuff, the bleaches, the detergents, the sprays, perfumes, the Glad and Febreze, all that stuff. We got to get rid of all those chemicals. If you want your brain to function at high levels, you got to work for it and you got to start living a cleaner life. And that stuff is a lot more convenient and it's cheaper and it's easier and it's quicker. But guess what's also, your brain will die quicker then. And there's nothing more important than your brain because your brain controls everything. It controls your heart rate, right? Does the cardiologist ever analyze your brain? Now, just look at your blood pressure. Your brain controls your blood pressure. If I can fix your brain, your blood pressure is going to go down. You don't need to take a blood pressure pill. That's what controls your gastrointestinal. It's your brain. So they'll give you antacids for acid reflux. No, I'm going to fix the brain. And then you could digest and absorb food properly. But the gastroenterologist only looks at the stomach and they're only going to give you steroids or antibiotics. They're only going to look at their specialty. So the specialization of medicine is bad because they only look at one thing, right? You go to the knee doctor, all they look at the knee. They're not going to look at how's the to the knee, or how's your ankle, or how are you walking, or how's your muscle, or how's your lumbar spine where the nerves coming out and being compressed. They just look at the knee. But if I'm a knee specialist, I want to look at all the connections to the knee. So that's why I became a functional neurologist, because the brain controls everything. So I can help people with every type of condition because your brain controls everything. So there's no better doctor in the world to be than a neurologist because literally every single thing is controlled by your nervous system. You can't name me one thing in your body that's not controlled by your brain. I have people that are even missing a leg that feel pain in a missing leg. It's called a phantom limb because their brain feels that pain in their foot. So I fixed their brain and I got rid of their leg pain that they didn't even have because it was in the brain. All the symptoms you feel are in the pain. If you have anxiety, it's from your brain. If you have difficulty sleep, it's from your brain. If you have depression, it's from your brain. Obviously, Alzheimer's and dementia is your brain, but you probably didn't realize high blood pressure is from your brain. Or you probably didn't realize that if you have a leaky gut, that comes from your brain. It all comes from your brain. Yes. About what?
You know when you have-
Tinnitus, ringing in the ear?
Yeah.
What's the question?
Where it come from? I read it.
So ringing in the ear can come from multiple places. So it could be damaging your hair cells. Like if you're a famous musician and you're blasting music, that's obviously not the most common. I don't think you're a famous rock star, right?
Sometimes on my neck, I repeat that it comes from the brain.
Yes. So mostly it comes from the brain. So that's why we help a lot of people with that. Usually the brain's overactive and you start to hear things that aren't there. So it's like if your brain is firing too much, you're going to hear something that's not there. Or some people will get sensitive to light. So if the brain's overactive, they can't handle as much light, or they might be sensitive to smells or feel weird things. It's all related. Those are sensory inputs for a brain that's overactive. That's what tinnitus is. It's an overactive brain.
I did the MRI and they say my brain is completely normal.
Well, they say their brain's normal. That doesn't mean it's normal. What they're looking for is a tumor or a stroke. And thank the Lord, you don't have a tumor or stroke, but that doesn't mean it's normal. It's just normal according to them because they're looking for big major things. You don't have a tumor, you don't have a stroke, you're normal. Even though we know that's not the case. When I look at blood work, they say, oh, it's normal. And then I look at it and say, no, it's not normal because they're comparing you to all these sick Americans.
They say there's
Well, that's what they say. Don't listen to these people, right? So that's what they say. It doesn't mean that's the truth.
Do you know a treatment for that?
For tinnitus,
Yes.
yeah, I fix it every day. It's called surround inhibition. So I use this process called surround inhibition. I use the tone of your ringing, and then I do therapeutic brain exercises at the same time as the ringing of the tone that I'm putting 6 inches away from your ear. It's called surround inhibition. Usually takes about 7 or 8 times to do it. Yes.
I put drops in my ears. I had that a little bit. It was Similacid.
Okay.
It's brand new. It's bringing ear formula
All right.
from Switzerland.
Yeah. So what I do as a doctor, I'm not the doctor that like gives pills and drops and medicines. I try and get to the underlying cause. So if I know that it's underactive or overactive or the left side or the right side or this part of the brain or that part of the brain, I'm going to be very specific to that. So I'll have 10 tinnitus patients and have 10 different protocols to treat them. It's not always the same way there.
Yeah, because mine is not the ringing, in fact, whooshing.
Yeah, we get all different types: ringing, whooshing, swishing, seashells, a lot of different stuff. If you want, what I'm offering to everyone here actually is you come to my booth in the back corner in the other room, and I'm going to offer you guys a free neurologic evaluation where we check out your memory, your hearing, your eyes, your heart, your nerves, your muscles. It's normally $300, but we're doing a special for everyone here. That you come to my table, you get it completely free with no obligation. You just got to sign up today. If you call on Monday, they're going to charge you the $300, but it's just a gift that we're giving you for coming here to my talk and supporting us. And, you know, we want to help the community there. So you guys are entitled to that just from coming to this. You just got to follow me out there. Okay.
Yeah, I would like to point out also, I read some medical studies that when you eat Indian Harvey turkey seed, it increases the oxygen level in the blood by 300%.
Wow, that sounds great.
I can confirm it.
Yeah, that's great.
You can do it.
Yeah.
Harvey turkey seed.
Yeah, so there's lots of, there's so much good stuff, natural stuff out there that can improve. The earth is full of natural remedies, right? But it's when they process it and they put it in a can and they put it in a pill where it's not good. So you really want to, don't take the vitamin C pill. Eat an orange. It's so much better. People just, I'm going to take all this vitamin C. It's like nature, there's no vitamin C by itself. It doesn't get absorbed properly. With an orange, you got the vitamin C, the vitamin A, the vitamin B. So and it gets absorbed properly. The vitamin D that I take is not just vitamin D. It's in fat. It's with K. It's with magnesium and phosphorus. So it gets absorbed properly. 99% of the supplements out there, they don't get absorbed properly because they're not formulated properly because the brain doesn't recognize it. There's no such, you're not going to find a vitamin B12 by itself in nature. It doesn't happen. But if we can eat certain foods, remember I said, eat all the colors of the rainbow, you're going to get all your nutrients there. You'll never need multivitamins if your brain's working, if you're absorbing, and if you eat properly. Got it? All right. Any other questions? All right. So everyone wants, thank you. Follow me to my booth and we can set you up.
Can you provide your phone number or email?
Yes. So my phone number at a New York office, which is 212-620-8121. We do offer phone consultations. We also do Zoom consultations if you're not in New York or New Jersey. You can email me also, info@kaplanbrainandbody.com. And you can also text us on our cell phone at any time of the day, 24 hours, 646-221-6738. You can call or text that phone as well. Ask any questions. Anyone who's online can also take advantage of the free offer, and we can do that Zoom as well. Just send me an email today, info@kaplanbrainandbody.com, and we could set all the online people up as well. And I'll put it in the message board so you could just kind of copy and link it.
Thank you.
All right, you got it. Any other questions? All
Did you
right.
take any medical insurance?
So we deal with all medical insurance as long as it's out of network, just no HMOs.
No, Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. I don't know who's asking that. But... All right. Any other questions? All right. And I also put my website, which is kaplandc.com. So it tells us a lot about our services. We have hyperbaric chamber, QEEGs, neurofeedback, infrared laser therapy. So we got a lot of new high-tech gadgets to help analyze the brain and help tell us how each area is functioning, and then help us to come up with therapeutic ways to improve your health without any drugs, without any medication, without any surgeries. The body heals itself. What we do is just get rid of the interference so that the body can work on its own.
Thank you,
Yes, we have
Eric.
You got it. We do have hyperbaric chambers as well. So just email us and we can set you up for that.
Thank you.
Well, I have one in New York and one in New Jersey.
Thank you so much.
Same place.
Take care. Thank you. Oh, so right now, in this room is going to be Eileen Reichman. Eileen Reichman is going to, what is Eileen going to do? Eileen's going to do, oh yeah, vanquishing stress, tools to enhance and transform your life. For those in the room, don't forget to go to the exhibit hall. And so Eileen is, her lecture is designed to introduce you to tools to help keep you on the planet as long as possible. In the best of health, living up to your highest potential.